Hi, I'm Chris Nesi from the House of EdTech Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, welcome back. Steve here, and today I'm talking with Dr. Durga Suresh-Menon, and she is the head of school at New England Innovation Academy, or NEIA. What an amazing place. What an incredible conversation about innovation and learning. So much to learn and think about. Thanks for listening. Oh, by the way, before you go, it'd be so cool if you took a moment to help out the podcast. Could you do that for me? Here are 3 ways. 1 is tell a friend and share the links. 2, you could go to my website and leave a review and subscribe. And 3, you could click on the link on my website homepage to buy me a coffee. And by doing this, you could donate $1 or 2 to help me address the costs associated with producing the podcast. That'd be so cool. You are awesome. Enjoy the show.
It's the Education Podcast, your favorite show, with lots of groovy guests and they share what they know. So crank it up to 10 and let your neighbors know that here's another show with Dr. Steve Milletto. Teaching, learning, leading, K-12. Teaching, learning, leading, K-12. Teaching, learning, leading, K-12. With Dr. Steve Milletto.
Durga Suresh-Menon, Ph.D., is head of school at New England Innovation Academy. An energizing, dynamic, and growth-minded educator with a record of inclusive leadership and passionate storytelling, Dr. Suresh-Menon joins NEIA with over 2 decades of collaborative higher education experience, academic program development, and a unique understanding of what makes students successful. She has a rich background in higher education, leadership, curriculum development, and academic excellence. Before joining NEIA, she served as Dean of the School of Computing and Data Science and Dean of Graduate Education at Wentworth Institute of Technology, as well as an associate professor where she led efforts to implement progressive learning strategies and interdisciplinary curriculum that promoted innovation and global awareness. She is recognized for her work fostering a culture of growth, development, and innovation, ensuring that a STEAM curriculum remains aligned with the ever-evolving technological landscape and industry demands. Fluent in multiple languages, Dr. Suresh-Menon loves to connect with tech-minded students and parents from all backgrounds and brings a global perspective and collaborative spirit to NEIA's academic community. Durga, thanks so much for being on the show, and say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody. Stephen, that was an amazing introduction. I have to match your energy for the rest of this podcast, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I love what we're getting ready to talk about. And this is cool that you're part of this program that focused on the future of young people that is all about innovation. I love this. So let's do this. In your bio, I read that you served as Dean of the School of Computing and Data Science and Dean of Graduate Education at Wentworth Institute of Technology. What's something that you learned from that experience that you want to always remember?
That if you put students in the center of your decision making, very rarely do you go wrong.
Nice. I like that. That's, because a lot of times we mean well, but what happens is that it's all about everything else but the students. So that's a.
And it's a lesson that you have to reiterate and tell yourself every day, because as leaders, whether in the higher ed space or now in secondary school space, the most important thing becomes for administrators, the concept of the bottom line, people management, and then the people are the ones who manage the students, or they are the ones who are, I say, taking care of the students. But if you make your decision making and whatever you decide to do to move this agenda along for education, put the students in the center of things.
Awesome. Love it. That is really awesome. All right. So what brought you to NEIA, the New England Innovation Academy? Did I say that wrong? NEIA?
You said that perfectly. NEIA, New England Innovation Academy. I have to tell you, when somebody has innovation in their title, you better be innovative, is what I say. And so this is a question that I've been asked a lot, that, you've been in higher education for the past 2.5 decades. And now I have come into another realm of education. It's not a step up, it's a step down. It's none of those things, right? It's just different. But what I love is my entire career has been about how do we make education accessible to everybody? How do we keep up with technology? How do we truly have a global presence? And that's exactly the same things I'm going to be doing here. So in that aspect, I am continuing the same work that I was doing at Wentworth, now here at the New England Innovation Academy. And we go by NEIA. And that's exactly what NEIA is all about, that innovation is in the air in everything we do. And so we don't talk about the word innovative because it is in everything we do.
I love that. That's awesome, because just like you said, if innovation's in the name, then you better be able to fit with that, because that's not good if you're the opposite.
And we ask that question, Stephen. We ask that question in every department, in every shop. I say shop always. In every shop at NEIA, the residential life staff and the person who heads our community life would say, how are we being innovative in our boarding program? It's not just about how are we being innovative in academics and in our curriculum and in our grading schemes and in integrating AI and talking about AI, but we ask that about our boarding program. We ask that about our transportation program. We ask that about our food that we serve in our cafeteria. Like, how is it different, right? And as I eat my kimchi fried rice, I have learned not to question it.
Nice. I do have to say, so after high school, I attended a military academy where I became a second lieutenant in the Army, and one of the commandant decided at that time that it was important that they get some student opinions about the food, and so what was shared from the students was that we really need more fruit and fresh fruit and stuff like this, and so they bought a truck of watermelon and truckload of watermelon that. I think everything tasted like watermelon for a while. It's like, what are they putting watermelon in everything? Because they had to use up that truckload of watermelon. It's like
watermelon, yeah.
Yes, and then they did the same thing with bananas, and it's like, okay, well, time out. I think you misunderstood. So it's cool what you're talking about, because being able to listen and think about even how we innovate in food. I like that. That's nice, as opposed to truckloads of one type of food or another and making it work.
But it is possible, right? I'll give you an example of food. Like so why is it different? Like, why did I talk about food and innovation? The inclusivity of our food options, right? You can come from anywhere in the world. You can come with any allergy. You can come with any background, and there is food for you at NEIA. Right. And I think that is the innovative and inclusive part of it, that, even in that aspect, we are thinking about and the diversity of food. So I talk about how there is that diversity and inclusion even in our food choices here at NEIA.
That's awesome. I love it. That's so cool. That's talking about being able to experience difference while, just taking care of your palate there. I like that. So nice stuff. All right. So let's talk about NEIA's overall approach. I mean, how is it different from traditional schooling models? I mean, what makes you stand out from them?
So when I started learning about NEIA, when I came in for the interview, when I started talking to people, when people say they don't want to be a traditional school, you feel like they are running away from it and they're trying to be as different as possible from a traditional model. NEIA did not do that, because it's very easy to say, oh, nothing works in education, so we need to put it on top of it. Says, no, that's not true. There are still lots of parts of our, what you call as the traditional education. There are elements of it that work. I think what we have to do is we have to enhance the traditional model. And I think that enhancement is NEIA. And what is that enhancement is layering it with innovation, layering it with entrepreneurship, and creating this very user-focused, like, why are we creating something, right? And that is called human-centered design. So this human-centered design always throws people off in like, what do you mean by human-centered design? It's not a subject area, it's a mindset. And that's what we are going after. And human-centered design basically says that you design something putting the human in the center of it.
That's cool.
Which we did not do a lot in the past. And we have had some inventions that should have never been invented because it did not follow the ethos of human-centered design. And I think that's what NEIA does.
Nice. So I don't know if this is where you're going or not, but you got me thinking about something called, you're too young for this, but New Coke some other things like Betamax as opposed to the VCR, and some different things where they kind of lost track of who might be using the thing. But I love that. So, all right. So if we're going to talk this, then let's talk about scheduling them, because that's student centered, as you know, or it can be totally opposite, where you just create a schedule around whatever the instructors need to be doing. So how do you play that? How do you do that differently?
That's a wonderful thing. And I recently asked that question because, I am new to NEIA. So I wanted to learn about not just the curriculum, but how do you make the curriculum work? So do we teach math? Yes, we do. Do we teach science? Of course we do, because this school prepares students to go into university, to college, right? So we can't not teach what is required as the core curriculum to education in the world, right? So of course we have so we teach humanities, we teach math and science, but what we also teach is a very big focus on a subject called Innovation Studio. So every student has to take Innovation Studio as a part of their graduation requirement. What is Innovation Studio? Innovation Studio lets you be innovative the way you want to be innovative, right? And there are subject matter experts that we have brought from industry who have different means of getting the innovative spirit out of the students. So this is extremely project-based. They don't sit on campus to do innovation. They actually go out and meet the tech entrepreneurs, or they're going and meeting the engineering entrepreneurs, or they're going and meeting the manufacturing entrepreneurs, right? So you see the three words in the beginning before entrepreneurs are the innovative part, and then they're learning about entrepreneurship. Because people always think entrepreneurship means you're starting your own business. No, that is not entrepreneurship. And again, we are not teaching our students to become business people. We are teaching the entrepreneurship spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit, so that no matter what they decide to do next, they're going to be ready for it. And I love that one of the seniors, the senior graduating class, so our 12th graders, I was having a talk with the 12th graders, and one of the 12th graders said, "Oh, no is just a starting point, Dr. Durga." They call me Dr. Durga, by the way. So he said, no is just the starting point for me. And I was like, that's fantastic, to take that mindset to college. That's what we do.
That is incredible, because that is something that, yes, having experienced where that's not really quite what you find, where you can have, I think the best way that I think about it is lots of barriers to that. So very nice to bring that with them. All right. So, something that's very controversial in our world is whenever this is my 38th year in public education in the state of Georgia. All right. And, if ever you touch grading, all right, this is something that if you're going to be, oh my gosh, you're going to be burned at the stake, man. So you got to tell me a little bit about how you guys are looking at grading differently.
I was going to say, not only that are we grading differently, our model, we are actually sharing with as many people as possible. We had a contingency of faculty who came from Iowa a couple of months ago just to learn about how we are doing. We welcome all your Georgian listeners to the Boston area to come and work with us and understand our model. So I love the way our Chief Academic Officer, Camp, talks about our grading, right? He calls it a mashup that works. So we took, of course, the traditional grading model, which all of us love. I have nothing against it. I would like to say that as a disclaimer. We took what is competency-based learning, because it's so important, because each of our students learn differently. And if you have learned anything in the past 25 years, that's how long I have been in the education field, is that no two students are alike, no two students learn alike. And so that's why competency-based systems came into the field. But we also took some forms of standards-based testing. We took some mastery-based testing, and we created this model, right? And if you really want to understand this model, you'll have to do a whole podcast with my Chief Academic Officer. But that is the mashup, and the mashup works. But more importantly, something about NEIA that I think is so amazing is every faculty member in every class, in every grade, grades the same to the same standards. I think that is fantastic, unheard of, because now you're not worried about, how is my history project being graded versus how is my English project being graded versus how is my math being graded. We grade it around the same set of rules and regulations, and the faculty create the syllabi based on
That's awesome.
those standards. Yes, I actually saw it because I started asking like 100 million questions.
Nice.
And I was like, wait, that doesn't work. Yes, it does. Oh, let me show you how it works. Because, and the best example he gave me was math and theater.
Very cool.
I defer to you to talk to my chief academic officer or come to our campus in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and we'll tell you all about it.
That'd be incredible, because that's one of the things that having one time as a parent been having this discussion where your grading says the following, but that's not what's happening in the class. So can we? Yeah, no, they all did different things. It's like that's very cool to have that type of focus, so that that really sits well with the word innovation. So
yes, and I always say that there is so much intentionality in everything we do here. I love that now I get to say we in everything that we do. There is so much intentionality, and again, it is so student-centered that it actually works. And again, we are coming up on our 5th year. We're ending our 4th year. We are starting our 5th year very soon. And so was it all smooth sailing? Faculty, camp, everybody will tell you, no, it was not. But we have come to a place where it works. And now we are getting this new, as we are growing, we're getting this new set of faculty that are coming in. And our teachers are amazed, especially the people who are new to competency-based learning, and we explain to them how it is done. So recently we hired a math and a science teacher, and I was trying to have the same conversation in the interview to both of them to see how they react to it. It was fantastic. So I'll tell you, this new generation of teachers are very open to it. There are some of them, I always say, like, I'm old. I'm like steeped in tradition in some sorts, and I come from higher education. So it's a little bit different. But what we're doing now is in that cutting edge. It's like, and I also want to use the word relevant. It is relevant to today's learners.
That's cool. Let's use that as a segue there. I mean, why do you think competency-based learning and and the idea of personalized learning, especially, are helpful in or basically essential for today's learners? I mean, why do you think that that's something that they need to be doing, that you're responding to by that personalized learning and the competency base?
Because there's a harsh answer to it, Stephen, and I'm going to tell you this. For the longest time, education has been shut up and learn.
Yes.
It doesn't work anymore. It does not work. This generation will not stay quiet. This generation will not just sit down. This generation is the generation that is born and raised with technology. Alexa runs my child's life. I have a 10-year-old, and Alexa runs her life. And so before she wakes up, if I say wake up, she says to Alexa, Alexa, is the sun out? And then she doesn't understand why she must rise up before the sun is out, right? That is the generation we are dealing with. And our traditional, non-personalized, everybody do the same does not work anymore. We are in 2020. I said this in 2024. I said it in 2023. If anything, the pandemic has taught us that it is a wake-up call for us to look at our learners differently.
Gotcha. So let's look at that towards the future workforce, because the kids, as they graduate, they go on to the post-secondary level. And so we're looking beyond that. So talk about how that's helpful for preparing them for that future workforce.
It is that we are teaching them to ask questions.
Nice.
It is we are teaching them to look at things not in one way and one way alone. It is not that we are moving away from because I said so. We are moving away from the status quo. We are now saying, okay, so that's what I said, right? When I started in engineering and computer science, it was just computer science. That's it. It was computer science, or it was before that, it was computer engineering, and there was an umbrella. Now there is data science, there is cybersecurity, there is AI, right? There is analytics, and then you split. And then you say, oh, there is programming and coding for manufacturing. And then there is technology for healthcare. And there is technology for research. And so, but it's all still technology. Right? So can we just teach one thing and be like, everybody knows it? No, you need to talk about, I always say we can be shallow, but we need to be broad. And that's what we got to do. And it can't start in college. It can't start after you go to work. It has to start now. It has to start in sixth grade. I say, you come to middle school, let's start talking about the differences that exist around us and how are you going to learn it and live among it. And the other thing, the distractions, right? People always talk about AI as a distraction, technology as a distraction, but we have to live, work, earn, right? And do in spite of technology.
Nice. I like that.
And I think that is the next, that is the workforce you're talking about.
Gotcha. It's amazing because as AI has been around for a while, but not so much where people realized how much it was around. And then as it suddenly, got our attention, I guess they were starting to refer to it more often, and you started to have access to these different brains that, were able to impact our lives that we're aware of, as opposed to, I think a lot of it, they're in the medical fields and so forth and so on that we really weren't that much aware of. And what's cool is that, I've got to say this first. I was really amazed at the number of people that were going, oh my gosh, AI is going to destroy our world. And I, every kid's going to cheat in my class, and I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And, what's funny is that it's like, it just kind of, one of the things it does is kind of push you to alter how you see the world around you and how you can use it to help you address that world. Talk about AI and that future workforce and the kids that are coming through NEIA, how they, are thinking about where that might go. Because I do got to tell you, there's a part. I'm a big sci-fi movie fan, so really hoping that we're not going towards Terminator land. But there's a lot of cool stuff out there right now. That so talk about AI and the future thinking that you guys are doing.
I think I want to come out first as somebody who's been in higher ed before I even come into secondary education, because I think a lot of this fear is by the older generation. 10 to 18-year-olds are not thinking about AI as taking over the world. I think it is us, our generation, that is thinking about it taking over the world, or I think we've watched too many movies. And the only AI that more than 60% of the people talk about is generative AI. That's just a field of AI. AI used to be mathematics. You talked about fast Fourier transforms and how you used mathematics to solve problems. Neural networks is a field that has been studied for over 30 years. So none of this is new if you actually look into it. I will tell this, and I don't think it's controversial. I very much stand by it 100%. AI is a tool. It is just a tool. And it is about how you use the tool. So on June 2nd, here at NEIA, we did a day of AI. So we wanted every single student in NEIA to understand what is this conversation that we are all having. And we just dedicated a whole day. We had a speaker who came in to talk to them. We actually did activities. The faculty talked to them. I talked to them. And I was like, listen, you can't run away from it. You can't be dismissive of AI either, right? Either you can't be one or the other. It is learning to how are we going to use AI? How is AI going to affect the future workforce, right? Because people are always worried about either losing their jobs, right? Or that it's going to take over. So which one is it, right? Which one is it that AI is going to do? It is about how we decide to use it. I think the responsibility lies in our hands. I think that is the answer that I would give to where is AI going. It is about how we are going to use it.
That's so awesome. Because it is what I got to say this. Because one of the things I love is that it's like, all right. So I do know that I'm not talking to my AI like it's like it's a real person. All right. Before we go here, but I do have conversations with it as I'm trying to figure out what I'm working on and seeing if it can pull in some answers that go. And most of the time I'm like, oh my goodness, man, this is good stuff. And and I tell it, thank you. And it says, you're welcome. And let me know when I can help you some more. And it's, as opposed to being afraid, I think we have to make adjustments. And that's something that I think is so cool as we hear that they're learning about how it becomes part of their path and where it's going from there. So.
And it's an amazing data gathering tool, right? And people are always worried about plagiarism. And there are certain fields where you must be worried about plagiarism because it is, again, a data gathering tool. So it will take the works of, you are a historian. I think the people that I know who are most afraid of plagiarism are in your field,
Right.
because it can take history and create new scenarios for you, right?
Most definitely.
If you've never had a chance, play with that part of AI. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Ask it for alternative scenarios, or if you had an idea about something that happened in history, how AI reacts. It's an amazing tool. If used well. My prompts to AI sometimes are 1.5 pages long to get back half a page, right? It's not the other way. Don't tell your AI to make things better, right? Use the tool well.
Nice. I like that. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this. I mean, how do you think NEIA's model can inform education reform across, the as a broader impact, not just its own students and such, but do you think it can have a impact on broader education reform?
I really hope so. I think what independent schools are doing is paving the way to look at alternative scenarios. I am not oblivious to the fact that there is budget constraints everywhere in education. I come from higher education. We are not oblivious to the fact that no matter where you use the word education, there are budget constraints, and we are all learning to play the game within the parameters that have been given to us. So how do you then create innovation in what you are given? And I think that's what schools like NEIA are doing. Everything that we do does not cost money, right? Sometimes it comes down to the individual teachers, it comes down to the individual departments that talk about how can we do something, right? And I feel that I truly believe that. I'm from India. My mother has told me this many times growing up, that, small drops make an ocean. And I think that's exactly where schools like NEIA, and again, I would be insane to think that we were the only school that is doing that. There are some amazing schools out there who are doing things very innovatively. We are reaching out to them. We are trying to get to know them and see what else we can learn. And I will tell you this, we are constantly learning. We are going to all of these national conferences. We are listening to podcasts, right? We are going to our regional chambers, and we are seeing how can we keep getting better, right? And how can we learn from each other? And I think, and again, you are a part of that change, Stephen, because your podcast does exactly that. I'm hoping that somebody will listen to this and be like, I got to talk to that school. I need to talk to that guy that she I keep telling Camp. I talk about you all the time to people. People are going to want to talk to you. Yes, absolutely. And small conversations. First it's 2 people, then it's 5 people, then it's 20 people. And that's how education reform. It's grassroots, right? That's what we believe in. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, let's do a scenario here. If you're speaking at a conference of, you're the keynote speaker at the end of the day, and what you have is a whole bunch of school leaders from, the different worlds, and you're talking about this. They're looking to transform their schools into more innovative, student-centered environments. What's some piece of advice that you would give them that you'd want them talking about when they left?
Oh, wonderful. Bring everybody together and have a very large conversation about what works. It's always the best place to start. I know that more often than not, when we think about affecting change, we think about what is not working. Let's change what is not. No, let us start with what works. And if you take a lot of these leaders that you said are going to be sitting in front of me, a lot of them are thinking about how can we create a product for our students that really has them prepared for the next step. Right? And that's a great place to start, because that's where innovation is born in education. Right? And I think that's the question I'll ask them to ask. What works for you? What works for you that students come every year and join your school? What is that magic sauce that you have? Right? And then you take that magic sauce, and that's where your innovation begins, because it's the easiest place where you can innovate. That works well. Don't try to bring innovation to a place in your schools where nothing works. You're like, that's where we'll do some innovation. It'll be better. No, it's not working. Let's just focus on positives. And that's what I would say.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I love it. One of the things that I at one time in my career as a history teacher, I worked at a school that they teamed, and you got training in how to collaborate together and work together so that you would do the same with the kids, that they were, they had collaborative experiences and so forth. One of the things that I always will remember from that was that it just inspired me. I left most days exhausted because trying to figure out, as we worked together, we were trying to figure out how to, one up everything we'd just done, and the kids were part of it. And, can you talk about, you mentioned a little bit ago, what adults work best in this type of environment? What are you looking for? What really helps?
And it's a great question. And I think as I begin my tenure here at NEIA, I'm looking at hiring. And as soon as I sign the contract, they would be like, oh, we would love to talk. We'd love for you to talk to this faculty member who's starting, right? And my big question used to be, what do I ask them? Like, what do I ask them to gauge that interest, right? How do I know that they will come and not try to pull us back into this traditionality of things that we are trying to fight? And I always ask the question, I say, if a brand new methodology, if a brand new mindset is something that I, as the head of school, decide that we should go in the direction of, and every time there's a leadership change, there is new ideas that come in. And I ask them, how does that make you feel? Does that scare you? Does that give you a pause? Are you excited? And that informs us. If you're always afraid of change, it's very hard to be innovative. You have to embrace. I get excited by change. I have been told I'm the minority, right? Change for change's sake also does not work. But change, I believe that we are constantly changing, but we are also constantly evolving. And if you're afraid of it, it's going to be very hard, because what I just spoke about, when I talk about competency-based education, when I talk about creating this entrepreneurial mindset within your, what does that look like in a math class, right? And I ask those questions. And if you're afraid of it, maybe this is not for you. Now, again, I'll go back and I'll say the traditional models have existed. 95% of schools today that we are talking about are doing exactly that. And we are still creating our next generations of doctors and lawyers and engineers and leaders and all of those people, right? So innovation is needed. Collaboration is essential, right? Interdisciplinary mindset and truly having a global mindset is so important. This is not about, I'm going to graduate from Massachusetts and I'm going to compete with students in Massachusetts. Does not work. You're going to graduate from Massachusetts and now you're on the world stage. Because what technology has done, and so my sister works for a very big company. She's the only person on her team that is here, even on the East Coast. People are in Europe, people are in Asia, people are in Africa, and that's their team. And yet somehow they find meeting times. I'm flabbergasted. But the idea is that that's the workforce that you're going into. Your workforce is no longer here in your whatever small region you think you are actually going into the global stage. So how are you going to do it if you don't know how to collaborate, if you don't know how to communicate? And so without innovation, you can't do this. And I think that is why, yes, we have it in our name. I always say we're ahead of the curve. We have to just keep at it, right? But for the rest of them, it's not going to be a choice very soon. Because that is the world that we have created now, a truly global, interconnected, interdisciplinary world. So how do you work there?
I love that. It's being able to work with others, team, and we've got so much technology now that allows us to talk with each other. Just like you were saying, coordinating those conversations. I've coordinated with people living in different parts of the world, and it's quite interesting when you're like, wait a second, you're in the future, so I got to figure out which day are we actually talking about here? So, being able to share and ideas and work on the same project together, and because we can, at the touch of the hat, you can see somebody working while you're working on the same project with the technology we have. So I love what you're talking about. This is great stuff. We're getting ready to finish up, and before we go, can you tell our listeners how they can find additional information, connect, and learn more?
Please do. We are all over. You can find us at NEIAacademy.org. That is, or please just type New England Innovation Academy. You'll find us every single time. And we are all available there. You can find our information there if you come to our website and check out my team, especially the academic staff. And so connect with us. We are on all social media. I am on social media. You can connect with me as well. And when you have questions, if you want to collaborate, we are always ready and open.
That is awesome. And I'll put information in there so they can, in the show notes, so that it's easy to connect with you. I got one last question for you, Durga, and it goes like this. Do you have a teacher in your past who made a difference in your life? If so, who was it? And what would you say if given the chance to say thank you?
My sixth grade teacher. She was my English teacher. You're always worried to do something in front of class. I was never that kid. I was never shy. However, when I made a mistake, I didn't know what to do with it. And I think it was the first time in my life I had mispronounced something that I was reading. And the way she made me feel at that moment, that she told me about the 6 words that she mispronounced. And everybody got to laugh more at her than at me, right? And it was a turning moment. It was a very pivotal moment in my life where confidence is one thing, but confidence does not always mean that we don't go through our emotions. And that was very important in how you look at your students, because we immediately classify our students. And I felt that she did not do that. And it was a great moment. Did not know that I was going to end up being a teacher. But if you asked me what kind of teacher I wanted to be her kind of teacher.
I love that. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. Durga, thank you so much for talking with us about the New England Innovation Academy, or NEIA. What an amazing focus. Truly innovative and inspiring. Loving it. Wishing the best in all you do.
Thank you so much, Stephen.
Hey, you have been listening to Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12, a podcast to help you help kids achieve their dreams. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is a member of the Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is a member of the podcast network based in Canada called Voice Ed Radio. Voice Ed Radio, your voice is right here. The opinions expressed on Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 are those of the guests and host. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is intended to share ideas, advice, and suggestions. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is produced for educational purposes. Hey, thanks for listening. It would be awesome if you visited my website at stephenmiletto.com and connected with me, left a review, and listened to more episodes. And by the way, you could also share it with your friends, with your family, and your colleagues. Thanks so much. You're awesome.